Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting edition of Hindsight is Horrible. No, it's not.
Horrifying.
I'll get it right one of these days.
One of these days. What show do we have again?
I don't know. Well, it's because the name of the show is so long. Anyway, welcome back, everybody, to a podcast which has a name. That I will learn one day. This is, of course, your favorite podcast. It is the show where we nominally go back and look at the films and TV shows of our youth, and we do something with them. We have our own process. But this episode is another part in our month-long special super spooky Halloween series. Where we are looking back on TV shows and movies that we watched when we were kids that scared the living daylights out of us.
Oh, God, yes.
And I'm going to pass it off to my co-host, Darth Jader, to tell us a little bit about what's going on tonight.
Yes, indeed. Welcome back, listeners, to another thrilling, chilling episode of our Halloween sequence. It's going to be awesome. And welcome back to former guest. You know her from our episode featuring SpongeBob SquarePants. Welcome back to Marie.
Yay. Hello.
Welcome back.
Thanks for joining us today, Marie. And today, listeners, we are actually checking out a classic from 1993. At least that's when the season said this episode came on, but then the internet lied to us. So
yeah, in truth, we have no idea now.
Yeah, because when Marie selected this episode, she told us it was season 2, episode 8 of Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yes.
One of the scariest, just most chilling shows of my childhood that I recall.
And of course, I was 14 at the time, so I found it to be terrible.
Just a little
because
bit.
I was a snotty teen who was so above all of this nonsense.
This was scary to me when I was 18, even. But
really?
Yes.
But it's all filler. No, I do want to point out, Darth is not kidding about how difficult it was, because this is season 2, episode 8, The Tale of the Frozen Ghost.
Yes.
Which is actually, if you go on Amazon to buy it, is listed in season 8, but then after you buy it, the show art says that it's in volume 6.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know when this came out.
You've got to want it, listeners.
We know Bill Clinton was president, and
Arsenio, saxophone, somewhere, I don't know, somewhere in that timeline.
It's after Max Headroom. And it's before George W. Bush, and that is literally that is as good as we can get it.
I pretty much always trust the Internet Movie Database. It's just what I always.
And usually they're very trustworthy.
It's probably correct. So
the Everest of locating.
Yeah,
locating an episode.
So 1993. This is a show that I know nothing about.
It's okay.
So I'm gonna rely on my co-hosts to tell the audience a little bit about what it is we're watching tonight.
Good. So Are You Afraid of the Dark really doesn't have that crazy of a summary. I don't really even have to look it up because each show was different. There aren't character arcs. There aren't anything crazy or elaborate that you have to keep up with. It's literally a group of kids around a campfire telling ghost stories. Mm-hmm. And the kids call themselves the Midnight Society. And each kid tells a story.
Satan worshippers?
Exactly.
Okay.
They had a little. They've got all the little symbols and stuff that they.
They are in the woods.
Yeah. Actually, they're in an arboretum. I found out.
Oh, really?
Or like a botanical garden of some kind. I'll bring that up later.
That's brilliant.
It's great, but for that reason,
it's private property. We don't need a permit.
Nope. But yeah. So it's literally these kids that gather together and a different kid tells a spooky, scary ghost story or goblin story, some scary story of some sort each episode. Mm-hmm. So it's always different from episode to episode. So it's like you said, Jason, it doesn't matter how they list these things on Amazon Prime or YouTube because there's nothing to keep track of.
Right.
Really.
Yeah. You don't have to worry about, screwing up the character arc and, oh no, what's happening in this season? It's an anthology.
There are no continuity issues. Right.
Yeah. It's a young adult horror anthology series. And so that means you can watch it out of order. And in fact, actually, a lot of anthology series, like The Twilight Zone, it's actually more fun to watch them out of order.
That's a little more enjoyable that way.
Yeah, because you get to see sort of the ups and downs of production and things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
some of the older episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark are real funny because the acting is real bad.
It's pretty stilted. The special effects are, Early 90s
Canadian?
Nickelodeon. Yes, it
looks
started.
Canadian.
It's very Canadian.
It is
looks
Canadian,
yeah.
because Nickelodeon actually didn't want it at first. When the creators approached Nickelodeon about it, the whole non-starter was that they weren't into scaring children at all, so they didn't want to take it on.
See, that's weird because a lot of people don't remember when Nickelodeon was very young, which coincidentally was when I was very young.
Nick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I remember all those, Nickelodeon actually had a whole series of original movies that were like bizarre and terrifying.
Really?
Like what?
Got it. I have to go back and look at the
Titles or It Didn't Happen.
Yeah, well, I'll look them up whenever I'll get my phone and I'll look. But I know that they did some science fiction movies and they did a few horror movies that were
horror movies for kids.
They did. They teen. They were teen.
Weird.
And they didn't do a lot of it. And there's the whole story about the lost episode or the lost TV movie that Nickelodeon did. You guys ever heard that?
I've heard of
haven't.
lost episodes of different shows and stuff.
Nickelodeon did it, and I'll look and I'll find the title of it. But they actually did a horror movie that they aired it one time, and then they pulled it, and they would never really admit that they had even aired it.
What, it was that scary?
Yeah, and they eventually, once a decade or two had gone by, it became such a thing that they actually bring it back and they actually play it. I think they still play it at Halloween. I'll find out the name of it. But so Nickelodeon, and as to the Canadian thing, that was the other thing about Nickelodeon when it was very young. Most of their shows were British or Canadian imports.
I can see it.
And they were great.
With the subsequent viewing, you go back and you can kind of see the qualities of it for sure.
I mean, they had Banana Man, they had Danger Mouse, they had...
I think you mean Mr. Banana Grabber. I think that's what you're thinking of.
Bagpuss, the cat.
Oh, God.
These were all things that...
These sound like Carvel cakes.
Seriously. They
don't.
No, yeah.
They don't sound like cartoon
Yeah, they
characters.
had Cookie Puss, Fudgy the Whale.
And they were both edible.
Yeah.
Edible entertainment. But yeah, apparently when the creators, DJ McHale and Ned Kendall, unsuccessfully pitched the series to Nickelodeon, they said it was a non-starter because it would scare children and they weren't into that. But apparently about a year later and a new executive hire a little down the road, the two creators approached Nickelodeon about a different show that they wanted to get started, and he said no to that. But then he saw like a 3-page little one-off that was the original pitch for Are You Afraid of the Dark? And he was like, wait, why did nobody ever get this going? So they actually asked McHale and Kendall if they wanted to revisit the idea of Are You Afraid of the Dark?
It was the movie's called Cry Baby Lane.
I'm not familiar with this.
It was aired in 2000, and it has something to do with a twin dying, and they bury him, and the twin comes back. It's
Ew.
genuinely freaky, but it aired in 2000 one time on a special hosted by Melissa Joan Hart, and that was
the queen of Nickelodeon.
It.
Right.
Yeah. I met her once when I was a kid.
Did you really?
Yeah, back when Nickelodeon filmed stuff in Orlando.
Which eye did you look at? Because she's got the lazy one.
Oh, I don't remember. I didn't know she had a lazy eye.
Genuinely never noticed that, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know she has a lazy eye.
I mean, I just notice things.
Interesting.
Huh.
Not now, but if you like...
And that makes you like her less. Interesting.
No.
So we got some bias
Okay, wow.
going on in the show.
Look at it. It's a little bit...
Well, speaking of Melissa Joan Hart, we love you, Melissa. We're not sure about Marie.
I love you so much.
She is actually, in this particular episode, the Tale of the Frozen Ghost, which was Marie's particular pick for the episode. And Marie, why don't you give us a bit of a synopsis about what this particular episode is all about?
So it's I think I'm thinking it's her. She's his babysitter. Is that what it is?
Yes, Daphne the babysitter.
Okay. So basically, they go over to these.
The Witches of Eastwick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Too many commercials in that little thing that I watched. So they go over to these witches' house.
No, I was kidding. It's Charlie's aunt's houses. His parents apparently have to attend a wedding, and inexplicably they send him and his babysitter to stay with his aunts, whom haven't seen him since he was an infant. So that led me to wonder why the hell the babysitter's parents allowed her to go to this stranger's house.
Yeah, that was a little bit strange to me as well.
But I said the Witches of Eastwick because they roll up and it's basically Grey Gardens with Big Edie and Little Edie living in this sort of dilapidated house.
Yeah, there is definitely a Grey Gardens kind of feel, and they won't take money.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And you can tell that they have this big family history, kind of like the Edies do, but feuds going back generations and whatever. But they pull up, and Charlie, the little boy who's central to the show, he is scared, and you can tell that he's a mama's boy, and he follows the rules. He's all wrapped up in his extra clothes like his mom told him to, even though it's hot in the car on the way there. And
he's like, I'm afraid of getting a cold.
And meanwhile, Daphne is kind of a disparaging, condescending little bitch to him the entire time.
She really is. Like, why did you hire her as a babysitter?
Yeah, she genuinely hates him.
Yeah. She really does.
Yeah.
She can't stand him.
You can tell that she resents him.
Absolutely.
For
she
his
spreads
family's
mud
wealth.
all over his little coat.
Yeah, in an attempt to get him dirty because he refuses to go out and play like a normal kid or roll in the mud or whatever.
Terrible.
But yeah, she can definitely you feel the resentment.
And this is how I feel about the topic tonight. I'm going straight to it. Okay, maybe she's a supernatural being.
Oh my God.
Now, hang on, bear with me here.
And, I'm going to allow it given the fact that it's Halloween.
She's been sent, and she has to prepare him to do battle with paranormal forces. And so she's not actually being mean. She's trying to toughen him up.
So essentially, antagonists are all supernatural beings that were placed there for the betterment of the protagonist.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We've revamped the definition.
That's every movie
Webster's,
ever.
Get in touch with us. We will help you flesh that out.
The 10 Commandments?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. That's you.
Canon.
Okay, hear me out. What if God is a supernatural being?
Try not to bury the needle on that one.
10 Commandments fan theory.
So, Jesus.
Yes, him too.
No, we're not doing this. So anyway, yeah, so Marie, of all the episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark, because I remember quite a few, despite the fact that I don't know if it was just one of those things where because I was not into scary stuff as a child. I was a complete chicken. Mm-hmm. But there were some episodes that I could surprisingly stomach and others that just scared the ever-loving hell out of me. So, So what made you pick this episode?
This episode stood out to me more than anything because I think it scared me as a child. I just remember it more. The one that scared me the most as a child, I honestly can't find. I've tried.
Which one is that? I probably remember it, honestly.
What my mom...
Isn't that weird?
I know.
Like you can't find it.
I can't find it.
Ooh.
And my mother has helped me. She said, okay.
I'm so startled.
No,
I'm so startled.
No, that's genuinely, that's the Mandela effect. We've talked about that on the show before.
I understand, yep.
It's weird because I was trying to figure it out with my mom the other night, and I was telling her, no, it's like a swamp monster. And so we looked it up. And the closest thing that I could find was something called the Dead Man's Float.
Okay.
And that's not it.
He's Old Greg.
He's Old Greg. And I'm not afraid of Old Greg or Bailey's.
From a shoe.
But I am a little bit afraid of a mangina. I don't know what that is.
Lord. Well, we took it off the Nickelodeon path really quickly.
I've seen one of them, and it is actually fairly intimidating.
Terrifying. I mean, you did say Old Greg. You opened that door. I just walked there.
True.
No, but it's so weird because sort of like with the movie that I remember, the science fiction, I remember being at my grandmother's house. Mm-hmm. I remember being in the sort of the grandkids' playroom. Mm-hmm. I remember watching it on the TV, and I cannot find, it happened. And the thing is, back then,
did it though?
Well, in the timeline I was in at the time, it totally happened. Just like you watched that episode. Mm-hmm. You saw it.
I only saw it once.
And has anyone else ever remembered it?
They all say it's Dead Man's Float, but I don't.
But it's not.
It's not, because when I look at it, it was the face is a skeleton. And I remember specifically there was no face. I will take that to my grave.
That's the Mandela effect.
It's so spooky. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, especially if they swap the episodes around like they seem to do online.
Yeah, it's like the the little bears, from our childhood. Who were called the something bears.
The Berenstein Bears?
What do you remember?
I remember Berenstein, but I've heard it's Berenstein.
Yeah, it's not Berenstein. Never was.
I've always said Berenstein.
So have I.
But apparently it's Berenstein. Yeah.
That sounds a little.
And it's not even
spooky,
Berenstein; it's Bernstein.
Stop.
Yeah, go look it up.
I will not.
It's terrifying.
Stop ruining my childhood.
Yeah.
Our childhood was a lie.
Exactly. And we have stickers that say that. In fact, we actually got some of them in the studio.
Bernstein.
We do indeed.
Hey, we could take a picture and put them in the show
notes. Oh, God. I knew that was coming a mile off. But yeah, you can actually visit our website because we have this crazy thing called merchandise now, listeners.
Merch.
You can buy it on hindsight.show when you click on our store. And we've got stickers, we've got binders, we've got mugs that say, "Oh my God, Adam," on them.
Yay, do you?
Oh, we do. And this was,
Yay.
I had to bring that up on Marie's episode because that was her idea, you guys.
Oh.
Because on more than one episode, I've gotten exasperated with Mr.
We have a
Adam
tote
Brown.
bag. Yeah, we have a tote bag that says that too.
We
do?
have a tote
Yeah.
bag now, too.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We're going to slap that on everything.
That's going everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's
He's going to be so
tote bags,
famous.
purses, dogs, the whole thing, everything.
I expect to get a 1%.
People are just going to start saying that to him, and he'll have no idea why, because I think he only listens to his own episodes.
Yeah.
It'll be a mystery.
Well, most of our guests, to be fair, only listen to their own episodes.
Either that, or
Most of them.
they seem to hop around to things that they're familiar with, because we've gone through so many generations of entertainment, like stuff from the 90s, 80s, 70s, you name it. So I think people just stick with what they know.
Yeah.
Except for Katie Masinzik and apparently now Michelle Savard. So thank you guys for tuning in, because apparently they're just binging like crazy now.
What about your troll? He probably listens to all of your episodes as well.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he is. He listens to all of
He's
them.
listening right now. We're not sure how.
Buck-ass naked, too. I guarantee it, yeah.
Ooh, spooky.
Hashtag caradining. But
Looking
anyway,
up a picture of Jade.
Hey, we'll put it in the
show notes. I hate you so much. Rim shot.
No, I'm not. You're not getting it this time.
Oh, come on.
No, this is not earnest. It's not motivated this time.
I hate you. When I want you to do a damn sound effect, you never will. Oh my God. But yeah, we've gotten to this kind of quintessential part of the episode where the
Got off
ants
the rails.
No, it always does.
Oh.
That's what this show is all about. Wait until you hear our Battle Royale episodes. You'll never be the same.
I know I need to go back.
No. They haven't aired yet, so you'll be
Oh.
able to catch those later down the line, and so will the rest of our hindsighters.
No, they will have aired by the time this episode comes out.
We jump around so much
Yeah,
with what
no.
we release that I don't even know anymore.
They will. Wait, hang on.
We're committed to the Halloween schedule.
Because
so
this is it's past future tense. No, it's future past tense. So it's,
I'm gonna kick you in the face.
They will already have been out.
Okay, so my brain
There you go.
I'm gonna
literally
throw
just
something at you.
exploded.
Yeah, so, okay,
dead
yeah.
now.
We've jumped around with things we've released in the past, but yeah, we're sticking to ending season 1 and heading into our Halloween. So yeah, we do have to stick with a schedule for once in our damn lives, Jason. Good for us. But yeah, so we get a really poignant moment right here between Daphne the babysitter and Charlie, because come to find the ants, the Eddies as it were, they're literally living in Grey Gardens because they don't pay their power bill. They don't have any money, and they refuse to ask for money from Charlie's family because, or Charlie's side of the family, because why, Marie? Do you remember?
Oh, because of the feud.
Yep.
Yeah.
There was
But
a
they
big
don't
feud.
remember why.
It was your general sort of feud.
Yeah, they remember it.
Yeah.
The two sisters remember it differently. They have different sides of the story where, oh, this guy did this to so-and-so way back in the day, and Daddy would be rolling over in his grave if we borrowed money from Charlie's dad. Like, it's just one of those general family feuds. But so, long story short, the house is going to freeze unless Daphne and Charlie go out and chop wood, and she rubs mud all over his jacket. She's like, oh, little rich boy's afraid to get dirty. She's just so mean to him.
So mean. Oh my God.
Which is weird because I'm not used to seeing Melissa Joan Hart in
Be
such a
mean.
bitchy role.
I know.
Yeah. But
She's so nice, and Clarissa explains it all. 'Cause
Yeah.
She explains it all.
Well, pretty much all of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, fun side note to that show, now that everyone and their mom knows my real name, in one of the episodes, Clarissa's trying to sort of rebrand herself, I guess is the right term. And she goes all motorcycle chick and gets like an extra earring and a nose piercing and starts wearing leather and black. And she renames herself Jade. So,
Really?
Yeah, my friends back in the 90s, that was like a source of jealousy. They were like, oh my God, Clarissa named herself after you. And I was like, you're damn right she did.
God damn right she did.
Better believe it. But yeah, so we, what I thought was really funny about this episode, you guys, is that Charlie is this young kid, and the aunts are clearly trying to hide the fact that there's a ghost living on their property.
I know.
But they suck at it. They're like, we're trying to be good hosts. Damn it. Oh, I said ghost. No, wait, host, not ghost.
I didn't say ghosts.
You old crazy bitch.
I know. We're trying to keep it a secret.
The Edie's can't afford their medications anymore, so they can't keep their stories straight.
Oh, it sounds like the cat is out of the bag now.
Yep. And they send, and even though they know there's a ghost roaming around, they send the 2 small children out on the premises to chop the wood.
Right. Yeah. Where the ghost is like, please just take my jacket out of that log so that I'm cold.
Which I don't understand, because if he's corporeal enough to grab the jacket and put it on, because that's the whole premise is Charlie is trying to sleep the first night there at the Edie's house, and he can't because he hears a ghost outside, and it's saying, I'm cold. Ooh. And that's the only thing he can say.
So spooky.
I'm cold. And so Charlie's freaking out. He tells his babysitter, oh, Daphne, where's Fred and Scooby? There's a ghost.
Danger-prone Daphne at it again.
It's nice read, Velma.
That's what I'm here for. But so Daphne doesn't believe Charlie, and the next day she's like, oh yeah, Charlie thinks he saw a ghost. And then the aunts are like, oh well, I guess if he saw it already, the cat's out of the bag. And they suck at keeping that secret.
Ooh, maybe the reason that he kept saying I'm cold is because he realized that because I just saw her put I don't know what it was, but into the furnace.
It was the furnace key.
Yes. Maybe it was because he realized that that's where the furnace key was. And he was like, I'm cold. Well, trying to get that, and
they explained that the little boy froze to death.
He did
in life. So
and because we're looking at the scene where the furnace opens and a bunch of Mardi Gras coins come out, and
I thought they were Party City chocolate coins.
yeah.
Are we sure?
Your money troubles are over. You can sell these to a candy store.
They're a mixture of both, so now they can go to Mardi Gras and eat all the chocolate and be the prettiest princess at the ball.
Run home, Charlie. Run home as fast as you can.
Go to strip clubs and throw gold coins at the strippers.
Hooray.
We're going to the pony.
Which would probably be dangerous now that I think about it. You'd probably kill the strippers if you were throwing gold coins at them.
I mean, maybe.
They're pretty weighty.
If you're a professional baseball player, maybe.
Yeah.
What kind of velocity have you got on your throw? Jeez. Right. But so these episodes are honestly really short. They're only about 20 minutes or so long a piece. And, they're geared for little kids.
They were avenues for commercials.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Like everything else we watched when we were kids.
Which I found on the one place I was able to stream this damn show last night. I kept getting commercials every couple of seconds. I can't remember the name of it. But
it was bad. Oh.
Wait a minute. Executive producer DJ McHale.
Oh, some of these are hilarious. Like there's one.
Are you suspicious that this might be Joel McHale?
I wonder if, is Joel McHale an immortal?
Yes.
Okay.
There's actually one, if you look through here, one of the executive producers is named Real Prooks.
What?
Real, it's spelled real, and the last name is Prooks. Prioulx.
Sounds Canadian.
Prooks.
Yeah, it does sound Canadian.
Which makes sense.
We don't want the fake Prooks. We want the real one.
The real Prooks. Sounds like he's a Quebecois.
It just might be.
Yeah.
But one of the creators, I cannot remember his name. Jeff Zahn. It's funny.
Very Zahn.
You mean Zinn?
No, Zahn.
No, Zahn. I love that actor. But speaking of Bill Hader and it. Yeah. But we conversation before the show started. But not Steve Zahn, Jeff Zahn. You got that stuck in my head now. Okay. Apparently came up with the very kind of iconic, really, intro to the television show. It's only a few notes and a couple of creepy images, but when you're in, 6, 5, however old you were when you watched this.
That's what you remember. I mean, those are the things that, when you're in your, 30s and 40s and you hear 2 or 3 notes that immediately take you back to when you were a kid, and you're just right there.
Yep.
And it transports you. It only takes a little bit. I mean, I still there are shows that I watch today. I still watch Nova, and I remember that music from the beginning of Nova. Mm-hmm. Like as a kid, I would hear that, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna go to the living room and watch TV, and you still you can close your eyes and just for a second.
If I close my eyes
Yeah.
and cover my ears, it's
God.
almost like you're not here. Well, we got somebody in the studio for a damn change who watches both Bob's Burgers
true.
and Rick and Morty,
Yeah.
so that's a rare treat.
Hey, I got a clap for that.
You did.
That's all you get.
But
Oh, is it because I mentioned it?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
you can't call
Two on the
attention to
nose.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jeff Zahn was apparently waiting for his plane to arrive at an airport in Montreal when they were kicking this show off. And he said, I just thought about the series, about mystery, hauntings, scary, supernatural things, thrillers, and kids.
Oh, what? Why
Yeah.
would you think of that in the...
Did he just say he never forgets a kid? but his Zahn said, it just came to me. I didn't have music paper, so I scribbled out the notes on a napkin. I really liked it and kept singing it. And then when I played it on piano,
I really feel bad for all the people on his flight.
yeah, right. It's just like, what? Len,
Oh, for God's sake.
I'm Linda, and I want you to clean your room. But yeah, he said when he played the piano, the important counter melody came to him, and he used it as the introduction for linking all the material together, like the creepy clown and the match that they light at the beginning, and just all that spooky nonsense.
So since we're talking about a Nickelodeon show, I think it's only fair to talk about Nickelodeon a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of the shows that sort of bridged the generations between my generation and yours. And the only one that I'm coming up with is Hey Dude. Because I'm
I
guessing
loved
you
Hey
guys
Dude.
watched Hey
Yep.
See, yeah, because
Salute Your Shorts.
yeah.
So there's that
Um,
one.
Rugrats, maybe?
Oh, big
Yeah.
time.
Oh,
Rugrats
yeah.
was on
Yeah.
when we were kids.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Because there's all kinds of shit. Because I mean, like when you were kids, I'm guessing you
Pete
can't
and
do
Pete.
that on television. That was gone by then.
Was it?
What
They played reruns of it at
Yeah.
least
They
when
did,
I was
yeah.
when we were little.
did they when did they stop?
I don't know, but I mean, I know that's really more of an '80s show. Because I mean, Alanis left that and went and became Alanis. And there was somebody else famous who was on the show. And see,
a lot of famous people actually came through Nickelodeon in
yeah.
one shot. It's like when they first started this show, they really wanted Ryan Gosling to be one of the main characters for Are You Afraid of the Dark? But he turned it down to be a Mouseketeer alongside Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake.
Much better, smarter career move on his part.
Well, I mean, he's one of the most
Yeah.
successful actors in Hollywood.
Yeah, as borne out by the fact that it worked.
Yeah, I can't remember a single kid from the Campfire Collective from the Midnight.
What about Eureka's Castle?
Oh, hell yes.
Okay,
yes.
Magellan
All
the
right.
Dragon.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of
Quagmire and Bog.
Oh, they were
yeah.
great.
Mm-hmm.
They did sort of a play on that on New Girl when Nick and Cece had the flu, and they were watching something called Poppycock Castle, and it was clearly a ripoff of Eureka's Castle with these little puppets running around and letters like floating up in the sky. It was great.
Oh, and Batley, and he would always fall,
Yeah,
and he'd
yeah.
say, "I meant to do that." Oh,
There were a lot of those puppet shows.
What about Pinwheel? That was before your time.
I was about to say that one's
Yeah,
not
okay.
coming to me.
yeah,
Because there were some that I know, like Danger Mouse was obviously that had to have predated.
It did.
no,
Like
but I do remember
You
it.
I was
remember?
aware of
Okay.
it, but I never watched it. Like
Danger
I think,
Mouse was great.
I think
loved it.
cartoons kind of segued in after like the Pete and Pete's. Clarissa Explains It All. Like it
Yeah.
then became about like the Doug, Rugrats,
Doug,
Hey
yeah.
Arnold. What else was?
Boy, Nickelodeon used to be really good. 'Cause
Yeah, I
it
know.
sucks ass now.
It does.
That's
It
what I
really
heard.
is
Garbage.
terrible.
When I had my son, it was the excuse to go back and we're gonna watch kids stuff in the house
Right.
again. And I mean, it was the way I thought it was going to go was, we'll watch Disney and we'll watch Nickelodeon, and
Right.
it ended up being 100% Disney. And if you turn Nickelodeon on, I'll break your arm.
It's not even it Nickelodeon anymore.
It isn't?
No, it's called Nick.
Oh, go to hell.
Right. So you don't even know
Yeah.
where it comes from. Like I told that to Ross, and he said, "Well, why does it matter?" I was like, "Because it's
Nickelodeon.
It's Nickelodeon. Like,
Yeah.
do you even know what a Nickelodeon is?"
Yeah,
Like, it's-
exactly. Here's the thing: they thought you were so stupid that they had to shorten the name.
I know.
You know,
Well, at first it got shortened to, they sort of blended it in for even younger children to enjoy when they did Nick Jr.
Which is fine.
the
but
nice
they-
who say Nick. But
well, no, I mean, but they do that. That's like with the Sci-Fi Channel. When I was a kid,
Siffy.
yeah, Siffy.
Right.
You know?
I hate that so much.
And it's who is the horrible human being who came up? Because you are, whoever you are, if you listen to this show, and I hope you do, because I want to tell you,
we want to hunt you down.
You are a horrible human being.
Right.
Because you came up with Siffy.
You're a garbage person, and you're going to be forgotten by history.
I mean, yeah, but
or remembered forever as just the Siffy person.
Yeah, and
which is worse.
And the funny thing is, like, Nickelodeon, they don't do the whole thing. Like, there's no Melissa Joan Hart of Nickelodeon today.
No.
Yeah, they don't have those kind of headlining talents anymore.
No.
She's mostly, I think she's working on her 45th Christmas movie this season.
Probably. Hey, it's a career. It's a paycheck.
No, I'm not, but that's all I ever see her in is what I'm saying. I think she was on Dancing with the Stars at some point, which she should have known. Even on Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23, James Vanderbeek pretended to be on Dancing with the Stars in a couple of episodes. And that whole show sort of focused around him making fun of himself, like as a grown-up trying to keep his career going.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, Melissa Joan Hart, you should know better than to go on Dancing with the Stars. Come on, girl.
And, the weird thing is that there is absolutely no reason why Melissa Joan Hart could not be cast in some show, grown-up show, straight drama,
She would totally do it.
Yeah, and it's interesting to think, so there's not a, she could have been, and this is going to sound totally bizarre, but the first thing I think of is she's the sort of person who should have been in the reboot or the relaunch of Twin Peaks, because she's whoever.
Oh, okay.
Because it's like, it's sort of like how, Tarantino takes old careers and, and brings them back.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
She's a perfect candidate for that.
Yeah.
But
I can see it.
I don't think it's going to happen.
No.
Well, it's funny because you had the Nickelodeon competing with the Disney back in the day, or like maybe Disney sort of.
They didn't.
Really...
Yeah, because Disney was pay. Nickelodeon was free.
Yeah.
You had to pay for Disney.
That's true.
Oh, yeah. I do remember that.
Yeah.
What's hilarious about that is I know I mentioned Ryan Gosling already, but apparently the whole thing about Nickelodeon is they were pushing for a diverse cast. They actually won an NAACP award for their diversity on the show. And they also specifically wanted a quote-unquote non-Disney type cast. And that's hysterical to me because Ryan Gosling turned them down to be a Mouseketeer. So
yeah, and it's funny when you hear them say that because, Nickelodeon, I think, at a certain point bought too much into that idea of we're going to be the not Disney kids programming. Yeah. Because if you do look at it,
Disney is doing so many things correctly.
Disney's doing great financially, and Nickelodeon is just still there. It's owned by MTV, or I guess
Disney? No,
Nickelodeon.
Oh, I was like, no, Disney owns everything.
No. Nickelodeon's owned. I think they're owned by the same parent company.
It wouldn't surprise me.
But
I can't even name a single Nickelodeon show.
Oh, that's on now?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I remember, and it was 9 years ago when somebody was like, "Oh, you've got to watch, you've got to let your kid watch Yo Gabba Gabba." And
Is that a Nickelodeon show?
It was on Nickelodeon. I don't know if it's a technically Nickelodeon show, but that's where it was whenever I saw it, and I literally. I'm not saying this to be dramatic. I felt ill watching the program. It was so horribly. And I said, there's no way I'm going to park my kid in front of this.
And let them get dumber.
It's like, no. It's
like the Dark Crystal. It's just like stealing his essence.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
And are we talking about the remake on Netflix or whatever's going on with that now? Or?
It's out. Yeah, that's out. The new
so
Dark
good.
Crystal. Yeah.
Oh, it's good. Oh, so
yeah.
I thought you were coming down on it. I didn't know what was going on.
No. Oh my God. No, I was just saying because the Dark Crystal, like it steals your essence.
Do you know who the production designer? I heard this the other day. The production designer for the new Dark Crystal. You know who he was?
I do.
Toby.
It's Toby.
That is pretty cool.
Isn't that cute? I love that.
Yeah.
I shared that with our friend Morgana, who lives overseas in France, because
my God.
she actually went as Jared the Goblin King to Dragon Con with me a couple of years ago, and she actually took a baby doll and stripped it down to its like little white cotton T-shirt that was underneath whatever little dress or something it had on, and she actually drew red pajama lines across the white cotton of it.
Call me when you got a French girl who goes as Jennifer Connelly.
You should have seen her costume, though. I mean, it was legit. She was pretty hot.
She did a great goblin.
I don't doubt it. You should find some pictures of it, and we can put those in the show notes for everybody to see.
I'm gonna break your glasses. I'm gonna stomp on them. You make me so angry. But yeah, so what? Speaking of like stupidity, like bad aspects of certain shows, did you guys know that Are You Afraid of the Dark? The campers never lit the fire themselves.
Really?
When you come into the show, it's always, and I never noticed this as a kid, the fire's always roaring by the time the audience comes in on the action, and I'll tell you why. Speaking of...
Because Satan already lit it for them.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
They invoked the Dark Lord, and he stole all of their souls. So, no, but what really, the reasoning behind that was so ridiculous, and it was the fact that Nickelodeon didn't want to film and show a kid lighting a match and stoking a fire because they didn't want to promote the knowledge of how to start a fire to kids at home.
And yet they did allow kids to throw sand or whatever it was.
I know exactly what it was, actually.
What was it?
Well, because one of the actors who was really excited to be on the show, because what they would do is they filmed all the campfire scenes all at once over the course of 2 weeks to knock that all out, which makes sense.
All of them?
Yeah, for the season. So, they would only film the campfire scenes once a season. And so
that makes sense.
Yeah, no, and it helps for a lot of reasons because it's going to save you money.
A fortune on production.
It's going to avoid scheduling conflicts and anything else that the other kids might have going on. And also, then you don't have to deal with any kids who are aging too quickly. Like if they come back 6 months later, a 14-year-old is going to look completely different potentially.
Hey guys, how's everybody doing?
My voice, I sound like Joe from Family Guy.
To the Midnight Society.
Man, fifth grade's tough. You get a beer?
It's like the Eddie Izzard joke. It's like puberty should just happen in one day. Get it over with. You come into school that morning. Sorry, I'm late. I don't know why I was late. By the time you go home, right, I'm off to go get a job with a drill. But with kids, the whole puberty thing could mess that up. So
it's a long, drawn-out, horrible, torturous process that biology subjects us to, and it is genuinely terrible.
It is. It's awful.
For any kids listening out there, that's what you got to look forward to.
Eve didn't just punish women when she ate that apple, people. Just be aware.
Right.
It's another little punishment that the Lord threw in for all of us.
Are you afraid of the dark? No, I'm afraid of morning wood.
I think we're all afraid of that.
Yeah, we are.
But going back to Are You Afraid of the Dark?
That's the series I want to see. Tales of Puberty.
Cross your legs so you can stand up now.
Oh my God.
Johnny, it's time to come up to the blackboard. No,
I don't please, no, Mrs. Jenkins.
Give me 5 minutes.
But the thing is, every school, because that happens to all the teenage preteen boys. But
We've definitely discussed this.
But there was always that one kid who didn't give a shit, and he would just go to the blackboard, just this huge boner.
Oh wow! No, we haven't discussed that before.
Oh no, I agree though. Yeah, he just walk up to the blackboard, and you're just like, well,
it ain't going anywhere.
Respect.
Yeah.
It's happening to all of the boys in the classroom.
But it was usually the guy that was weird.
Oh yeah.
Like it was never the guy that's like, oh, look at that. No, it's the guy that's like, oh, gross.
Yeah.
But at least, and kids are so cruel to each other. At least the boys seem to have a code where they're just like, I'm not calling him out. I'm just going to pretend.
We called it out.
You did?
Oh my God!
Well, it
yes, we
depends on.
did.
Oh yeah, like it depends.
You were a bastard.
Mercilessly, we all did. I had it done to me.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I've tried to explain this.
I get such disturbing visuals of you.
Well, that is a pretty disturbing visual, if I'm fair.
I've had worse ones. Don't get me wrong. Of other guests.
I'm really glad Adam's not here.
Oh Jesus!
we would be down a rabbit hole right now.
No.
Oh man.
So, Are You Afraid of the Dark? Getting back to the midnight dust that you were referring to a minute ago. It's
midnight
not sand. It was non-dairy creamer.
Shut up.
So the whole thing of it was Daniel DeSanto, the guy who played Tucker. He said it was like a not well-known, it was a very well-kept secret that it was non-dairy creamer. And he said, I came on in the 3rd season and I was so excited to do the magic dust scene where you get to throw the dust on the fire, but apparently the creamer just burns right up.
Yeah, it's explosive.
No, it just burns. It's nothing special about it, apparently.
Well, yeah, but no, if you take non-dairy creamer and like you can actually use it as explosive.
So if you just like to throw the actual bottle of it
enough
in there,
dairy creamer, one can blow up just about anything.
Yeah, it's the stuff burns like it's ridiculous. They've used it on Mythbusters.
Oh
my God! So like next time,
that's not what it sounds like here. He says it was just coffee made in glitter. He said the fire was like a pyrotechnic technique. Like,
oh well.
Oh my God! So next time I have a party at my house with the fire pit, we're gonna like get some non-dairy creamer and some glitter, and we're gonna throw it on the fire.
I know for a fact that I won't be at that party now, so thank you for the heads up.
You're not invited now.
Good. I'll get my eyebrows singed off.
Knowing you, probably.
Then I'd have to put a picture of it in the show notes.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, you will.
I think we should actually have an artist rendering of what that might look like.
Actually, you know what? I'm just going to invite you and not tell you we're going to do it. And then I'll just, and then I'll send it to him so we can go ahead and put it in the show notes.
Damn it.
I love you.
Such trickery.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to avoid such a clever trap.
So this show scared us, me, as kids.
Very badly.
Because, I mean, and again, it's an age thing. It's not like, because there was plenty that scared the shit out of me when I was a kid.
Yes.
This didn't, and I think it was an age thing. But what were some of the other things that they did on the show, not this episode, that was scary? I mean, you said this was the scariest. What was there something else that was particularly scary?
Yes. There was one. I don't remember the name of the episode, but I bet Marie remembers. I was about to say there was an episode where this kid gets a computer and a little person, like a demon that's living in the cyber network inside the computer,
that does
comes
not sound
out,
familiar
and he's got
to me at all,
his hands had like little computer ports on them, and if he like plugged into you or something, he could suck you into the computer forever.
Ooh.
And it sounds a lot more sexual now.
Maybe
that's what made it. Plug into my port. Gross. Anyway, there was that one.
Oh man.
But like I said, I would tune into some of them, and it was one of those shows where I was like, okay, it's okay to turn it off in the middle of the show if you get too scared.
But you want to see how it ends because it always ends with some kind of moral, like the moral of this story or some kind of like an Aesop's fable kind of thing.
Well, some of them did, but especially with and that's part of the FCC's requirement that there has to be some sort of lesson or moral thing involved. I don't know if that
resolution.
Yeah, maybe like how G.I. Joe used to have to knowing is half the battle. But so
what's the other half?
Yeah, Randy Manfield will never know.
Yeah. But the other half? That's a gun.
Protecting U.S. oil rights. That's the other half. G.I. Joe. But yeah, so the ending of this particular episode that we're discussing, Frozen Ghost, is the whole premise is the ghost is cold and he wants a coat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And because he got the coat, the kids find the furnace key and then they find the pot of gold that's stuck in the furnace flue. Like, okay. And it's a little,
Silly.
anticlimactic.
So the moral lesson there is that if you hear a disembodied voice, you should do what it says.
Yes.
Because then you'll get a lot of gold.
Yes.
So-
lot of chocolate gold that's
Yeah.
probably old as the hills.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't manufacture that anymore. Just like candy corn, they actually go
It was
around to
good
the
old
dumpsters
chocolate.
every year and just gather it up and then redistribute it.
That's why it tastes like garbage
Yeah.
because it literally is garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. So yeah, I remember this episode distinctly because it did scare me just seeing that little boy being all creepy and pointing and I'm cold. But
Yeah.
I remember the guy in the computer one. I remember there was one where there was like a clown in an attic. I don't remember the premise of it.
That's kind of the whole. I mean, what else do you need?
No, but I don't. Yeah, the rest of it's kind of it's all very Narnia starting stories where it's like the children are being sent off to the country to live in this spooky old house, and with Narnia, there's a much better story to it. But Are You Afraid of the Dark is a little more lowbrow.
Yeah.
Do you remember the doll story?
I think there was more than one.
There was.
You would imagine.
The one that I remember is called The Tale of the. Oh man, The Tale of the Doll Maker. And that was kind of a runner-up for this one.
Didn't she like become life-size or
No,
something? Okay,
actually,
then yeah, there's definitely more than
You're
one.
thinking of. I think you might be thinking because what happened was the girl became a doll was what it was.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. That was really spooky.
It was. Her friend was missing. She couldn't find her, and she went to this house.
Oh, and it was like a life-size dollhouse.
Yeah, and she went into this dollhouse, and here's her friend. She's turning to porcelain, and then she starts turning to porcelain. I remember that one scared me really bad, too.
And it's so weird because the age difference... You know, like I said, I was like 14 or 15 when this came out.
So that would have meant we would have been about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, when this was out, I was watching Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah.
Oh God, I could never watch that show. That I would have died of.
I loved Tales from the Crypt.
A small person heart attack.
Small person heart attack.
Because I was a small person back then.
Tales from the Crypt was genuinely. It had some good scares to it.
Well, that's almost a throwback to our Mummy episode because when Evie goes in and her brother jumps out of that sarcophagus at her, the skeleton that's in the sarcophagus with him looks just like
the Crypt Keeper.
The Crypt Keeper, yeah. And I think it's actually the same prop. I'm not sure. I'd have to look back into that, but that's what it always makes me think about. But another episode I specifically remember, and it came to a little more freshly in my mind today because they mentioned it in the notes, is that Mikhail mentioned that, and he was laughing at this because apparently they would get inspiration from random places for episodes and scripts and whatnot. But I remember the episode where there's a school where there are all these suspicious happenings, Scoob, and then you come to find that it's being run by these lizard people. And they're like these slimy lizard alligator things in there hatching. There's a pool.
Well, that's true. I mean, that, you know.
That's how schools are run
Well,
by
yeah,
lizard people.
Queen Elizabeth is actually a lizard person. We all know that.
Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah. The president's a lizard person. All of the world leaders are lizard. Come on, go on the internet. There are pictures and everything.
I mean, haven't
Seriously.
you seen that terrible Mario movie from? Yeah.
Which one?
Wait,
the one with the lizard people where they the Mario Brothers.
Was that the one? Was that the one with Lou Albano, Captain Lou?
Maybe it was the one with what's his face? Oh man.
Because I know in the original Mario Brothers movie, it was Captain Lou Albano played Mario, and that was.
It was the one with John Leguizamo.
Luigi.
Yeah.
As Luigi, yeah.
I had specifically blocked that out of my memory. Thank you for bringing that.
So has most of Western civilization.
Yeah,
it's our darkest hour.
You know what? I've tried, but there's so many dark memories in my past that one just won't.
I search forward.
No, I mean that's one of those things that if that's beamed out across the universe and there's an alien race monitoring us, when they catch up to 1988 or whenever that movie came out, that's it.
Yep. They're going to stop following us altogether.
Yeah, no, they're not going to stop following us. They're going to wipe us out.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
that'll be the end of civilization. They'll just say, no, these people cannot be allowed to live.
I was hoping for more of a Calvin and Hobbes resolution where Calvin and Hobbes are looking up at the starry night and he goes, you know, Hobbes, I think the reason to believe that there is intelligent life out there is because they haven't tried to get in touch with us yet.
There's a sort of logic to that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But, so I remember the lizard people. I remember there's a clown. There are multiple clown ones.
Yeah, there's always a clown.
Yeah.
But yeah,
how many times can you go to that well? You know,
an infinite amount if you're Tim Curry.
Yeah.
But
apparently, yeah.
Yeah, I really don't remember a bunch of specific because I would avoid this show like the plague. It scared the living hell out of me. So
too.
I was not the biggest fan. I would sit through some if I had a friend over, I would keep tabs on what my friends liked on television and when it was safe to invite them over, because if my friends came over, the polite thing to do is to let your guest pick what you're watching on the television.
See, girls are different than guys.
No, that was the rule in my house. My parents
okay.
set that rule. They were like, if you have a guest over and they want to watch something, you let them watch that thing. Like, they're your guest. That's the polite thing to do. So I started noting, this psychopath likes Are You Afraid of the Dark? I don't want to watch that.
Yeah. My rule was, it was more like, you want to watch what? No, screw you, dude. We're not watching that.
Bro code is so much different.
Yeah. We're going to put it on Cinemax, even though it's scrambled, and we're going to sit here for the next 2 hours until we see a boob.
Dear God.
I wish that was not a true story.
Cinemax or Skinemax?
Well, see, we didn't even call it that. It predates people calling it Skinemax, which I think is
Are they the same thing?
Skinemax? Yeah, that's just what people called Cinemax.
Oh, okay. See,
yeah.
I've never tuned in, so I don't know.
Neither have I. I just thought they were two separate things.
Cinemax
I did too.
Yeah,
and I was
they were the ones
old.
that, they pioneered the softcore porn after like 10 o'clock thing.
Yeah, I thought that's what Cinemax sort of evolved into, was the Skinemax as it became more risque, but apparently not.
Kind of how Nick becomes Nick at Night.
Yeah, well, Nick at Night, I remember when Nick at Night first. Yeah, I loved it. I remember when it premiered, and it was the cable provider that we had. They didn't have. No.
I'm joking.
No, this was Jim Bob's country cable company.
Oh yeah, I forget that you're from the booties.
Yeah, no, they didn't. They didn't have the rights. That I guess they didn't have an agreement to play Nick at Night, and it was so frustrating because every day Nickelodeon would literally end, and there was a whole thing. It was like a school bus going by and had all the characters from the shows. It was like Dennis the Menace and the guy from the Munsters. And
so it would basically show you these are the shows you could be watching.
And they were doing it on purpose, hoping that we would, people would, call them and go, hey, you need to, sign up for Nick at Night. And of course, parents didn't give a shit, and they didn't care about what kids had to say.
This was before kids were special.
Yeah, we were just chattel. But yeah, so every day we were just like, oh, look at that. What are all these shows? Boom. Yeah, and the station would go dead. And the next morning it would start back up again with Nickelodeon.
Oh, Lord.
Because Nick at Night was literally Nick at Night. I mean, they just, that's what we did at night. They flipped a switch and it became a whole other network.
See, that's something we need to go into. We need to do like a special Nick at Night segment for stuff that was on when you and I were young, Jason, because I bet there's plenty of humor that we didn't catch. Same principle, just with older shows, like with Happy Days and Wonder Years and all that good stuff. We could go back and watch Dick Van Dyke. I know we would hate that so much.
I've said before that I think my style of humor, my type of humor, really, I could trace it to two things, which is Nick at Night, because it was everything from Laugh-In to Dick Van Dyke to, just all the greats.
You bet, yeah.
And at the same time, I could go from that to every night, A&E had an hour of stand-up called A&E's Evening at the Improv.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And it was just random stand-up comedians, and it was
good,
awesome.
Yeah, it wasn't the crap that sometimes there's good stuff today. I'm not saying,
but it's not the same.
But there's some good stuff today. But a lot of the time, like there's a ton of stuff on Netflix, and there's maybe 5-6 things on there that's good.
Yeah, Netflix, I really think is at the point where they're giving everyone a special, and it's always a special, and it's always like a big thing. As opposed to like improv was literally a brick wall, a fake brick wall, a microphone and a camera.
It's like the Comedy Store up in New York.
Yeah.
It's just the same
That's
concept.
it.
Well, John Mulaney says...
Oh, God.
I'm joking. I don't have a follow-up to that.
Okay, thank you.
But I know you're about to give me the wah-wah noise.
I saw his hand on it.
No, but Jason gets frustrated with me. He says, I'll go up to like Chick-fil-A and they're like, hi, what can we get started for you today? Well, John Mulaney says... Apparently I quote him quite a bit. But
hello,
anyway.
Mrs. Jader. How are you?
Go away.
That's what she's going to be like in the nursing home.
I'll be like a parrot that doesn't know how to say anything.
Did you take
but
your
John
medication?
Mulaney
John Mulaney once said, "Oh Jesus, just get a pillow and end it."
John Mulaney. But as far as the comedy specials, that's something that I've heard from on another podcast called Inside the Closet, where Emma Willman and Mateo Lane were talking about how they're trying to stretch too much out of too little with material these days, how they'll make an hour special for something that should have been 15 minutes long. Yeah. And it's just, it's making everything so stale, and comedians are getting burned out more quickly for that reason.
Yeah. Well, and, stand-up comedy it always had this, raw quality to it. And that was the place where you could watch somebody at a stand-up club in LA or New York, or honestly any place where there was a stand-up club, and you didn't know you might be watching Seinfeld. Yeah. You had no clue that if this person was going to go off and have this amazing career and be really funny.
Yep.
And that's also where a lot of the really great TV comedy writers came from. Because a lot of them, they didn't make it on to become, Seinfeld with their own show, but maybe they ended up writing for a sitcom.
Yeah.
And there was like this feeder system that they had out there, and it was like, we're gonna let audiences in these clubs sort of pick people who should go on to be maybe a writer, maybe they get to be a star, whatever.
Whatever their brand of comedy and how they present it. Yeah, it's just everybody was their own unique entity, but they fed off of each other. And then they ended up collaborating a lot of the time, which is why I think Seinfeld's Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee is so genius, because he knows all of these people. Like, he's been in the comedy industry for so long that, yeah, he knows Chris Rock. He knows, what's his name?
I don't know.
That guy from that thing.
Him, yeah. That dude sucks.
He's the worst. He knows John Mulaney. No, but seriously, all these comedians know each other because they're still, depending on their age almost, or it's almost turning into what kind of comic they are.
Yeah.
They still have that kind of confab going on with each other, where it's still a community of comedians, because you'll hear Anthony Jeselnik talk about that on his podcast, where it's like, oh yeah, I had some people over at my apartment. They were helping me brainstorm and come up with new jokes, and they help each other. And that's really cool, because you don't really get that kind of collaboration in other competitive markets like that.
And I think a big part of it, and I've been a broken record on this, and this, I have to sort of be careful because I get right up to the line of just being a grumpy old asshole.
You crossed that line ages ago.
Yeah, but on this specific topic, where it's like, okay, legitimate criticism versus, well, it was better when I was a kid.
Right.
But we've been going back and watching the original Muppet Show.
Oh yes.
And it's so it was premiered 1977, I think it was.
Lord.
And so I mean, it's a show that predates me, but I watched it whenever I was a kid.
Which doesn't happen often on this show.
It's rare, I'll admit that. But listening to the jokes, and you realize there's so much stuff that is intelligent in the joke telling, and I'm trying to say this without saying that people are just fucking idiots today.
Well, it's almost too subtle for anybody to pick up on these days.
Yeah, it's like you're either highbrow educated comedy like Eddie Izzard.
Yes. Oh my God.
Because that is legitimately the highest brow.
The drag queen of our world.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's very intelligent comedy, or it's just stuff that,
poop jokes.
Yeah, poop jokes.
Yeah.
Or being a complete asshole and thinking you're funny.
Yes.
I mean, Harvey Korman could do a bit without being an asshole or doing poop jokes, but it was still funny.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why Seinfeld, I think, is so timeless, is because Seinfeld is a guy who he literally understands the science of humor.
He's like a comedy surgeon.
Yeah, he really is.
Just so precise with every little thing that he says and does. It's unmatched.
Yeah.
I'm totally with you on that one.
But, and again, part of it is just they did it. But my defense against you're just saying it was better when you were a kid. Dick Van Dyke was before my time.
And it's better.
Yeah. And Lucy was before my time. And it's better.
Yeah.
Mel Brooks, most of his canon was before my time. And it's better.
Sure.
I think a lot of it is because we have all of this other material that we can use, which is, we have the special effects, and we have all of this stuff. And it's like a lot of the ability to write an actual good story or write actual good material is kind of going out by the wayside because we're using special effects or
writing around the special effects, kind of like Michael Bay syndrome, where it's like, okay, so how many explosions do I get? Cool, I can make a story around that.
Yeah,
it's almost we're going backwards.
Well, and the thing that really, at a fundamental level, because if you look at comedy from days past or drama, go watch The Twilight Zone, or another drama from the 50s or 60s or 70s that has withstood the test of time. And there's a sort of basic level of intelligence there that I think indicates that average people just read books.
Yeah.
Like there's the story of the guy on Omaha Beach, and when they found him, he had his copy of A Tree Grows in Brooklyn with him. And it's like, I don't see too many 18, 19-year-old kids nowadays.
He was clutching a DVD when they found him in the woods.
Yeah.
Or his cell phone.
Yeah, he would have his cell phone with him, and it's like, no.
And because his cell phone battery died, he did too.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. It's like,
that would be a modern Are You Afraid of the Dark tale?
Right.
The tale of the missing charger.
I did hear one very cool line the other day, and I can't remember who it was who said it, but somebody said something about, I want to be smart, so I'm going to read more books. And the guy said, reading books don't make you smart.
Reading books don't make you smart?
Oh, God.
Lord
No.
have mercy.
No. He said reading a book or reading books doesn't make you smart. Smart people read books.
What?
Okay.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not one way or the other. It's smart people tend to read books. If
They
you're
tend to,
stupid,
yeah.
if you're stupid, you're probably not going to be the sort of person who reads books.
And that doesn't mean that you're not literate or you're incapable of reading books. It just means that it's not a medium that speaks to you. Or like, I sort of see where you're going with that, because it's kind of like the modern day YouTube syndrome. It's like, oh, I don't know how to change a tire. Okay, we'll get on your phone and learn how.
Right.
Like you can learn how to do things by reading books and watching videos and stuff, but like reading books isn't always about learning how to do something or how to become smarter at math or smarter at science or smarter at what. It sort of is. It expands your mind.
Well, and maybe that's gonna, the fact that you can, if you need to learn how to change a tire, you can just go on YouTube. You've got access to the unfiltered knowledge of mankind that has been committed to video or audio.
Right.
Maybe because it's not something that networks can filter, kids will start finding stuff from the old days. And if I submit that if a kid is young enough, they're not going to think, oh, this is old, I shouldn't watch it. They're not going to know.
Well, it's Shakespeare syndrome all over again, because before there's any sort of stigma placed on it, you go to school and you hear like maybe the cool kid who doesn't like to read, you hear him making fun of reading, and then you don't want to be a reader.
Right, yeah.
So it's before that stigma gets slapped on it. Yeah, the younger the kids are, maybe the technology will kind of bring us full circle in that way, Jason. That'd be amazing. And then they'll find stuff like, Are You Afraid of the Dark, that we used to watch back in the 90s.
I mean, I know my kid and one of his friends, I was driving him somewhere, and I don't know why, but YouTube, the next video that it played was actually Abbott and Costello's the Who's on First routine.
Oh, yay.
Genius.
And those two kids laughed their asses off at
I know,
it.
it's funny.
It's hilarious.
And it doesn't matter how old you are when you're born. It is funny no matter what. Because those two guys play that perfectly.
It's so good.
That actually reminds me of a personal anecdote, hindsighters, between me and Marie when we went down to Florida for her first bachelorette outing. You were under the impression that Jerry Lewis had invented the bit where he plays a typewriter.
Yeah.
He's not actually even playing a typewriter. He's miming typewriting to a song.
Well, I knew that. But
No. But that was the video you were showing us. I was like, well, wait a minute. I was like, that's Liberace. And you were like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
I said, yeah, Liberace actually did it on a real typewriter first, and then Jerry Lewis mimicked it later. And so it's funny how, like, depending on what video or what bit of knowledge you have first, it can completely bring you full circle.
Change your whole perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jerry Lewis was great.
He was.
And then it was even funnier because Mrs. Maisel, a show that we've talked about several times on our show, they show a clip of that. When I watched that show, the mom has the little grandson in the living room. She's like, look at that, Liberace's playing a typewriter. Can you imagine? And I was just like, wow.
Oh my God.
He's such
universe.
a manly man. His wife must be so lucky.
I can't believe Liberace was gay.
So funny.
I went to the Liberace Museum once.
How was
I thought
that?
you went to the Bigfoot Museum.
Yeah, I went to the Bigfoot Museum.
Oh, you've been
too.
to all the museums.
Yeah. Oh no. Look, if I find a small weird ass museum, you're not stopping me from going there.
Have you been to the bodies exhibit?
I did.
Did you like it?
I don't. I've got kind of some moral qualms against it.
I kind of agree.
Yeah. I they're not all fully formed to the point where I'm like, oh no, I'm against it. But
It's a little weird.
Yeah. I don't like it whenever people say we're doing this for, scientific education. It's like, no, you're not. It's exploitation and it's gawking at dead people.
Yeah.
Well, didn't all of those people have to sign their bodies over to science to be part of that exhibition?
Not all of them.
A
lot of them weren't claimed.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. Imagine, Well, now the counter argument to that is, we'll just wait 1,000 years, because if you died in Egypt 2,000 years ago, we'll stick your ass in a glass case in the British Museum, and nobody says a thing about it.
Yeah, I can't criticize that, because Josh and I spent a good hunk of our time at the Louvre in the Egypt wing, so it's the same concept. But
it is, but it's just still kind of creepy at the same time that these people walked the earth at the same time that we did.
Well, whenever I was there, I actually asked one of the guys who was working there, or we were just chatting about it, and I asked him a question about something in there, and he wouldn't go in. He wouldn't go in the room. And
was it the fetus room?
No, like he was out in like the vestibule.
He wouldn't go into the
area,
general exhibit.
You know, like he was behind the counter taking tickets or whatever.
Oh,
you know,
like it's not his thing.
And well, no, and I asked him. I was like, I noticed you're pointing and sort of gesturing, but you're not going in there. And I'm curious, is it because you don't like being around the bodies? And he said, no. He goes, that's not it. I said, what is it? And he goes, man, you work here late at night.
Oh.
He goes, let me tell you, that room is a lot noisier than it should be.
Oh, what?
Yeah. And I went, that's very interesting. I'm going to leave now.
So I guess you didn't stick around for any examples of what he was talking about.
No, but he was like, no, that room makes noises.
Oh.
Like, and I'm like,
God, that's
okay.
creepy.
a room full of mutilated bodies?
That you potentially stole without permission.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
It's haunted.
Yeah.
Which is a perfect story for this exact segment. because
Exactly.
We're in the middle of our Halloween rush. But
and it was right next door to the Titanic exhibit. So it's like you got
God.
like, what's that like after hours? You have like old
that
old
felt
people
blasphemous enough to me because we went to go see it when it was down in Florida while we were on vacation down there, and that felt bad enough to me because what they did is it wasn't a game, it wasn't anything wildly inappropriate, but they assigned you a passenger name from the ship. And then at the end of the tour, you look to see if you had died on the ship or not.
Or if
you had drowned
that.
or whatever.
I thought it was just like an exhibit. Like you just looked at the different like things.
No,
like,
you see all of the different exhibits, and you see all of the different like remnants that they've excavated from the ocean, and so it's a legit thing. But in the beginning, they give you a slip of paper, and they say, "Oh, okay, you're." They're like, if you want it to be a total mystery, look at the very end. But I was John Jacob Astor.
Oh wow, yeah.
So it's basically like the episode of Rick and Morty.
Where they completely bastardized the James Cameronian rings.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well,
You're going to draw me.
I see. I like
to
that
draw me.
because I think that it conveys some of the impact.
It does, and I can see the effect that they're trying to achieve, but
That's why I hate that movie.
But it feels like we know.
Yeah,
but
it's terrible.
Yeah,
I agree.
Well, it's a terrible movie, but also I hate it because it's like, no, this isn't a stupid, sappy love story.
No, that's what I mean.
It was a natural tragedy.
It's terrible for the same reason. It makes me very mad.
When you were there, did they have the giant ice wall?
Yes.
That was pretty intense. For those of you who haven't gone to it, at this Titanic exhibit, they have a big wall made of ice.
Is it real ice?
Yeah, it's real ice.
Yeah, it keeps it kind of chilly, like a hockey rink almost, while you're going through these.
And what you're supposed to do is, because it's the same temperature as the water was, and you're supposed to put your hand on it and see how long you can just keep your hand on it.
That's the temperature that they had to like.
Yeah. And it's like literally after about 3 seconds, you can't do it.
No, it was really intense. Like,
and when you take your hand,
kids are obviously like I was there with my family, so my brother and I like, I bet I could. It's like Gene and Louise, like, I'm gonna put snow in my pants and see who can last the longest. Like you keep your hand up there longer than you should to eventually. Our dad was like, okay, this is no longer a safe game. Like, come on.
Yeah, but imagine, and again, I don't know what everybody's opinions are on ghosts and stuff like that, but imagine working overnight in a building that's housing exactly 2 exhibits, artifacts from the Titanic
that people
and
wore
bodies.
and touched.
Were they real artifacts?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's real
Exhumed
stuff.
artifacts from the ocean.
Oh
yes.
yeah, let's talk about some serious ghostly things.
Lots of shoes.
No, well, that's
lots of
fine.
shoes. Oh yeah,
lots of shoes.
Well, it actually brings us back kind of full circle because Jason, I sent you an article earlier. I'm not sure if you saw it yet, but speaking of all the ghostly artifacts and scary aspects and Are You Afraid of the Dark? One of the things I found in my research was that the show couldn't shoot in real cemeteries, which they have a lot of cemetery shots. So, but there was a law against filming and publicizing actual tombstones. So they had to create their own cemeteries with like, here lies blind Paul or whatever. And so just random stuff like that. And Jason, it sort of took me to our tombstone moment, how you and I have dreamt up different messages on tombstones, because the article that I sent you is actually about how not just the Catholic Church, but also the Church of England, that every church kind of has their own quote unquote rules about what's appropriate on a tombstone.
Of course.
And, like Jack Lemmon in the, or I can never remember what Jack Lemmon's gravestone says.
In.
Yeah, in.
Yeah.
So, okay, you think, can you define in?
Yeah.
But, so in probably a Catholic setting, he would probably not be allowed to have that tombstone, but I sent you an article about that since we've joked about tombstone moments and how you and I, we would never be able to be buried in a Catholic place because our tombstone moments are just too inappropriate.
Yeah.
Well, here lies Darth Jader in utter contentment, smothered by Mel Gibson's thighs. It would never work.
I'm still going with Jason Mitchell, Apollo astronaut.
Just to see if anybody will bother to look it up.
Seriously, what are they going to do? Go Wikipedia it? In 100 years,
a liar.
Yeah, in 100 years, these idiots aren't even going to know.
No.
President of the United States.
President of the
what?
world.
Yeah.
But of what? Yeah, so that kind of brings it full circle as far as I know. So
I actually have a relative, distant relative, who he was murdered in like 1912 or something like that. He was
same year as the Titanic.
I was going to say that's the same year as the Titanic.
Yeah, he lived in New Orleans, and the details are kind of fuzzy, but it was basically he got out of a carriage and he was walking in someplace, and somebody just walked up to him with a shotgun and blew him away.
God.
Good
And his
Lord.
tombstone actually says his name, born this date, assassinated this date.
That's pretty badass.
That's pretty. Yeah. I mean,
Also,
if you gotta go,
Being assassinated in New Orleans, he's probably got a lot of really good friends
Probably
to
so,
hang out
yeah.
because that's a pretty haunted town.
probably pretty
Yeah.
crowded for a ghost.
Yeah, but then again, they have more than just the one dimension. They have like
There's a lot of tourist
Yeah.
ghosts
Like, up,
around. and
down.
it's such a pain in the ass.
Oh, Yvette with these ghosts
Coming down from Mardi Gras.
again with the living dead.
Aye.
Oi, with the poodles already. But
Well, so we have been discussing
all sorts of spooky nonsense.
are you afraid
I
of the
tried to
dark?
bring it full circle a minute ago,
Actually,
and then
I think we got a lot more Halloween-ish. I almost said Halloweeny. On
You
this
know
one.
what?
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
Halloweeny.
It is Halloweeny.
It's canon.
hashtag Halloweeny.
Yeah.
Hashtag Halloweeny.
Make sure in the show notes you put that hashtag.
Hashtag Halloweeny.
Yeah. Do
Can
that.
you do like a little Halloweeny? Can you make? Oh my God.
You
have
listeners
like a
can't see
little-
it, but I'm avidly ignoring Jason.
Can you
right
have like
now.
a Halloweeny like plush?
I can come
We
up
could
with
put
something.
hashtag Halloweeny on something.
I can
Yes.
definitely come up with something for that.
Marie needs to be
Yes.
our new merchandising supervisor
Yes.
because she came up with, oh my God, Adam,
And
to put it on a mug.
Yeah, I'm
And
still
like
trying to
a-
figure out what to put on the beanbag.
ooh, no,
no.
wait. Ooh,
Yeah.
hashtag Halloweeny, and you can have like a Halloweeny like thing on the back of what are they called? The things that you put on the back of your car?
Bumper stickers?
Decal.
Decal.
I do. Oh,
I'm very tired.
A beanbag might be appropriate because I'm not going to say which guest said it. I'm sure you guys will be able to determine on your own. But the quote exactly was third stone from the testicle.
Oh my
Okay.
Lord.
Yeah, I do.
That might fit on a beanbag.
I think what we should do with the beanbag is we need to get a big picture of Adam, sort of like with his arms out. And a kind of come hither look on his face.
No.
And we'll put that on a beanbag.
No, don't do that.
Are we trying to ruin his life with this merchandising? That was not the aim.
And for an extra $20, he'll autograph it.
Oh my God.
Well, then you have
And
to.
for an extra $30, he'll autograph it with his pants on.
Oh,
Oh my God.
oh, Mr. Brown, we do adore you. But
He's not listening.
I know he's not. But no, what we really need to do is make that exact item, like you said, and then keep track, because I know we do, keep track of who buys it. And then we need to make one of me and see if we can find where the troll lives, because you know he's going to buy a beanbag with my face on it.
I know. So we can sit on it.
Oh my
Sit on it,
God.
Podsy. But yeah, so on that wildly disturbing note, where Adam and I are now immortalized in beanbags.
Yes.
Aren't you glad that you brought me
Yeah,
back?
I think I'm going to do that. I think now I think this is
sweet
going to happen,
Jesus.
because this is the thing. We can design it and put it in the store, and it doesn't cost anything to put it in the store.
This is true.
You know,
because
so
we
we-
don't have inventory, so technically it's a custom
Yes,
order.
we have no inventory. So if you order this stuff, it's actually engineered.
Specifically for you.
Yes,
Just for you.
Yes, there's a craftsman in Uzbekistan who by hand makes the beans. And
They're
deposits
pinto
them
beans.
one by one in a bag.
They have to be vacuum sealed to ensure crunchiness and freshness.
There are monks who are painting the picture of Adam on the beanbag.
Travis monks. They only make one of those things a year, and they made it for you guys.
Yeah,
So.
the beanbag cost $12,000.
So, Marie, welcome back to the show.
I'm so happy.
I'm
to be
sure you weren't
back.
expecting to go this far down the rabbit hole with this kind of nonsense.
No, I was very much expecting to go as far down the rabbit hole as you took me. So no
Good.
worries.
We're glad. So, before we sign off, are there any last words you have about this particular episode or the show in general that you chose?
I'm cold.
Well put.
Halloween Town sucked.
You take that back,
Oh,
you
poor
monster. You monster.
You know she's giggling while she's listening to this.
I love
She gets so many
Halloween
shout
Town.
outs from you now ever since she chose Halloween Town.
I know.
Whatever. I love
It's
Halloween
it's
Town.
all done with love.
Oh, yes.
I haven't
she
met you,
knows.
Michelle, but
not for Halloween
Town is amazing.
Just for Michelle.
Yeah.
And Debbie Reynolds, of course. Can't forget her.
Yes.
But yeah, so
Take it easy.
the pipes of an old Debbie Reynolds. Oh, he'll
No,
take it.
So
Easy.
if you do want merchandise, and the cool thing with the merch store is that it does change regularly. We're always adding new stuff. You can
horrible things.
We're gonna keep trying to come up with the most disturbing things we can possibly sell you.
You know what? Maybe that should be our first giveaway. the Adam Brown beanbag chair.
Oh my god.
Okay, that's it.
It wasn't a real suggestion.
Oh my god, that's the best idea I've heard. That done.
He's made it canon now.
Yeah.
I'm going to text him and just apologize and not tell him why.
No, you need to tell him that he has to send you a picture of him holding his arms out.
Oh,
my
I think I've got the
God.
perfect
With
one, and I'll put it in the show notes. Hold on. I think it's his ID on my phone because I've got funny ones
If we
of
get
each
him
of
in
you.
here, we can put him in front of the green screen, and it'll make it even easier.
Okay.
Let me see this. I can't. This was like the cute.
Did I told you.
Oh my god.
Yes, because he has a habit of sending us photos whenever he changes his hair or his look.
Yeah.
And that was
And so
that one stuck.
Now, because we all just laughed maniacally, I think you're really gonna have to put that one in the show notes.
Yeah.
Or you're just going to have to wait until we do the giveaway
Oh,
and
yeah.
do what we
Yes.
tell you in order to win this
Yes.
now
And you're-
infamous
And you're gonna have to earn it. Let me tell you.
Mr. Brown beanbag chair.
You can get to the store. You can go to our website, hindsight.show. You can click the link there, or you can just go to store.hindsight.show. You can find our merchandise there. You can find all the information about this episode and other episodes on the website. You can find us on Instagram at Hindsight Horror. And
Oh, well, hindsight is horrifying on Instagram.
see, we have
Isn't
too
it?
many.
The full name. And then Twitter is Hindsight Horror along with Facebook.
Yeah.
The business cards that we have are actually right there in front of you, Jason.
Hang on a second.
For
Let
your
me,
reference, so
let me
I
just,
might be wrong.
So anyway, you can get to us. The name of our show is Hindsight.
Sight is horrible, right?
Well,
no, we don't know.
I can't read.
Do you want me to read the card for you, dear?
And you know,
Yeah, why don't we
the
have
fun-
somebody else promote our
There
social
you
media
go. Yeah,
for
you
once?
can
So yes,
promote it.
why don't
There
you
we
tell
go.
them where to find us?
And by the
Open
way,
my mouth.
I haven't had a single thing to drink tonight other than coffee.
That's
so,
what's really
yeah,
sad.
That's I can't blame it on the alcohol.
Okay, I'm gonna read it. Hi. Okay, no, I'm kidding.
For real, though.
No, hindsight is horrifying, and the website is hindsight.show. Instagram is hindsight is horrifying. Twitter is at hindsight horror. What is this?
Facebook.
Facebook is I don't know.
The Countenance novel.
is hindsight horror, and the phone number is 770-299-9834.
Which is the first time we've ever
Yeah,
had
it
this
actually
read
is.
off on
Be-
the show, guys, because we've been trying to make you work for it, but it's on the Countenance novel, so nobody cares.
Yeah, and also it's the first time because neither of us remember it, and
Exactly.
we haven't had it written down in front of us
Yeah, on
when we've
business
been doing a
cards.
show.
Wasn't that a great idea? I handed
Yeah.
those out at Dragon Con. I've been giving them out ever since.
Have you gotten any calls?
No calls so far. We're waiting for Australia. I guess they're a little miffed because I think their love letters got lost in the mail, so I need to write a new round. Sorry, Australia.
Well, we sent them by sailing ship. So it'll take about a year and a half to get there.
And the crew, half the crew will be dead of scurvy, and there'll be a new plague by then. So probably just throw them out when you get them.
But it's still faster than UPS. So
true story.
Yeah.
So on that sour note, guys, we appreciate you tuning in with us again. Marie, thanks for reappearing on the show.
Thanks for having me.
She's known me for a while, guys, and yet she came back, and she knows Jason too, and yet
I still came back. Yeah.
Bad judgment.
Who knows?
I know. I might even come back again.
3 times the charm is what we said, I think, on Battle Royale, which you guys will get to hear soon. We'll be releasing those episodes, so stay tuned. We got a lot of fun things coming your way. Until next time, Hindsighters, this has been Darth Jader with
Jason Mitchell.
And our special guest,
Marie.
So thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you for our next spooky Halloween session.